Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsay's Little Library. So I'm here today to talk all things September. Well, really September new releases. But let's talk about how amazing the month of September is. There's a few things. My kids go back to school. We are all excited about that. And it's my birthday month. Yep, totally. So kids go back to school on the 1st, and my birthday happens to be on the 2nd, on a Friday. And I cannot wait. And there are some fantastic books coming out in the month of September. So let's talk about them. Okay, the first book I want to talk about is one. I've only read one book by this author, so it's Gallows Hill by Darcy Coates, and I read a book by her last year, I believe. And she writes horror, creepy, haunted, spooky books. So this one actually takes place at a winery called Gallows Hill, and there's a big anniversary upcoming. This winery has been in production for hundreds of years, and it wins awards, their business prospers, family thrives. It's fantastic until people start whispering that the curse has awakened once more. I don't want to know much more. It's a sprawling old house, has long been perched on top of a hill overlooking the nearby town, jealously guarding the estate's secrets. We'll see, but it sounds creepy and I'm so into it. Next one I want to talk about is Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Rayburn. This one also comes out September 6th. So I'm loving this book because it follows 4 older women, I am getting older, who you would least suspect to be any sort of not rule following people, let alone assassins, right? So we have Billy, Mary Alice, Helen, and Natalie have worked for the museum, an elite network of assassins for 40 years. Now their talents are considered old school, been called that, and no one appreciates what they have to offer in an age that relies more on technology than people's skills. When the foursome is sent to an all-expenses paid vacation to mark their retirement, sounds suspicious, they are targeted by one of their own. Only the board, the top level members of the museum, can order the termination of field agents, and the women realize they've been marked for death. To get out of alive, they have to turn against their own organization, relying on experience and each other, knowing that if they work together, this is the secret to their survival. I am beyond excited. That one sounds fantastic. It's gonna be a good month. The next one I want to talk about is A Lady Newspaperman's Dilemma by Eileen Joyce Donovan. Also comes out September 6th. So this takes place 1926 in Montana, which I'm loving that setting, loving that time. And this is in the midst of the Roaring 20s. News is, I mean, it just spreads like wildfire, right? Any big catastrophe is in the papers for days. And so there is a flood that could destroy a town, and it becomes kind of the event of the time. And Alex works as a journalist, and all she wants to do is be part of a major metropolitan newspaper, and she's basically fighting to go and cover this story and break through that glass ceiling. So super excited for that kind of different take on historical fictions, and it's based on actual events. All right, moving on, September 13th, another book I'm excited for, which, I mean, I'm excited for all of them. I don't know why I keep saying that. The Book Haters Book Club by Gretchen Anthony. I mean, it's a book about books. That's good enough, right? I'll tell you more. So this one takes place, let's see, mainly in a bookstore. It's called Over the Rainbow. And there is a sudden death of one of the partners that own Over the Rainbow, and the other business partner has decided to sell it, and it's going to go to a developer. It's going to get torn down. No more bookstore. So we follow our main characters. We have Tom, Bree, and Lainey. Basically will do anything, including snooping, gossiping, and minor sabotage, to save the bookstore. So I'm loving that. Loving that. All right, next one, The House Party by Rita Cameron, also coming out September 13th. So this one's told in multiple perspectives, and it kind of questions privilege and responsibility a little bit. So we have Maya, M-A-J-A, Maja, I don't know, main character. She is building her dream home in the suburbs of Philadelphia. This is like the perfect house for her and her husband to go live in. They don't have any children. It sounds like it's quite the place. Well, I don't know, weeks before she moves in, a group of teenagers throws a huge party in this brand new house of hers. And they're the good kids. They're the ones going to college. They're the ones that have won the awards and everyone's shining star. And there comes this kind of push and pull between our main character and what happened to her house and these teenagers and what is the appropriate punishment for them. So, sounds like it's gonna make me think. That's what I'm thinking. Next one I want to talk about is A Very Typical Family by Sierra Godfrey, and I love this cover for some reason. And the tagline that drew me in is, all families are messy and some are disastrous. So true. So we have Natalie. She's the reason her older brother and sister went to prison over 15 years ago. She fled California shortly after that fateful night and hasn't spoken to anyone in her family since then. Now, on the same day her boyfriend steals her dream job out from under her, she receives a letter from a lawyer saying her estranged mother has passed away and left the family's historic Santa Cruz house to her, sort of. The only way for Natalie and her siblings to inherit it is for all 3 adult children to come back and claim it together. Sounds interesting, right? I'm sure there'll be some drama. Next one I want to talk about is The Butcher and the Wren by Elena Urquhart, also September 13th. Debut novel, always a fan of checking them out. But what's got me pulled in is Elena is a co-host on a true crime podcast called Morbid, and I have been mildly obsessed with Morbid lately, so I'm all for supporting her, right? She has written a dual perspective thriller told from the viewpoints of a serial killer and a medical examiner hot on his trail. The Louisiana Bayou forensic pathologist Dr. Ren Muller gets drawn into a deadly cat and mouse game with a brutal serial killer with a taste for medical experimentation. That's gonna be great. I can't wait. All right, next one I want to talk about, The Frederick Sisters Are Living the Dream by Jeannie Zussi. September 20th is when that gets released. This one's being compared to Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. So we have Maggie. She gets a call from an emergency room one night in Maryland where her older sister lives, basically saying she needs to come and help her. Her diabetic sister has basically overdosed on strawberry jello. So Maggie knows that her sister Ginny really can't live on her own anymore, so she brings her sister and her occasionally vicious dog to live near her in upstate New York. And their other sister Betsy is against this idea, but as a professional surfer, she's conveniently, across the country. So there we get into life as Maggie takes on caregiving responsibilities, and Ginny is not so cooperative, let's say. So again, sounds fantastic. Next one we have is The Butcher by Laura Cat Young. This is September 27th. Really interesting premise with this one. So we have Lady May turning 18. She's going to inherit her mother's job as the butcher. This job requires her to dismember Settlement 5s. This is the place that they're in. Guilty residents as payment for their petty crimes. Could be an index finger, could be a foot, could be an arm. No one's exempt from punishment. But one day, Winona, which is Lady May's mom, refuses to butcher a 6-year-old boy. So the leaders of this Settlement 5, known as the deputies, come to their house and murder Winona, Lady May's mother. So within 24 hours, now alone in the world, Lady May begins her new job. But a chance meeting years later puts her face to face with the deputy that murdered her mom. And so now she must choose, will she flee and start another life? Or be forever running? Or will she seek vengeance for her mother's death, even if it kills her? Such an interesting premise, right? So crazy. And then the last one I want to talk about, probably most of you are aware of, but The Winners by Frederick Bachman is coming out September 27th. So excited for this book. It is the conclusion to the Beartown series. So I don't want to talk much about it, but it takes place, I believe, 2 years after the events of the other book has passed, and we go from there. So again, I don't want to spoil anything. It is the 3rd book, but I'm really excited. Beartown and Us Against You just so beautifully written. I know they're not for everybody, but I absolutely adore them and love them. So those are the books coming out in September. I'm loving every single one of them. Thankfully it's my birthday month, and maybe I'll just get them all. I don't know. Any books that you are excited for September, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about that. Otherwise, comment, subscribe, like, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye.